Welcome in, everyone. This is Catfish on Ice, 150th episode, guys. How did we make it here?
Unbelievable. It's crazy.
These episodes keep flying by like crazy, but guess what? We've got, I guess the NHL calls it opening night. I could have swore there were a couple games over the over the weekend overseas, like the Global Series is, I think, what they called it. But I guess tonight's opening night, guys. I don't know.
It's not. It was the other day. It was in Prague. That was opening night. They just don't know what they're talking about.
It's so weird. It's so weird, guys, because it's like I feel like the NHL didn't even market their own global event very well.
Yeah,
I agree.
It was a very under the radar event that should have been huge.
Absolutely, it's insane. Lindsay says, "Hi, friends. Preds are 2-0. Yes,
best team in the league,
sitting atop the Central.
We're in first place, guys.
We're in first place.
Sole possession of first place in the Central Division is your Nashville Predators.
Amazing.
Granted that no one else in the division has played a game yet, but we don't care. We're in first place.
That's okay.
It's not fair, but we're still in first place.
It's all good." So we're watching the end of this Rangers game right now. It's been a pretty exciting game.
It has been.
I mean, it's like who's going to flinch first, and it looks like Tampa.
I'll give the schedule makers a lot of credit for making their first game of ESPN Plus and nationally televised, all that.
Yep.
I'll give ESPN a lot of credit for getting that game because a rematch of the Eastern Conference Finals. Rangers, Lightning, give me all of that, please. Yes. Inject that into my veins.
Yes.
Good stuff.
Let's be honest, probably the most exciting series last year out of all of them.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think I was talking to Kyle a little bit before we went live about that Zibanejad goal. That was
filthy.
Oh, my gosh, man. I mean, that's when you use that terminology in hockey of dirty goal or a nasty goal or a filthy goal. Those are the types of goals we usually talk about. He looked like he was gliding. It didn't even look like he was skating on actual ice. Please go look up this goal if you haven't seen it already. I'm sure you probably have by now, especially if you're listening to the podcast the following day. But this goal, shorthanded, skates in, takes a pretty good pass from who did he take the pass from? Either way, it's not important because it was shorthanded, and he glides in there. Vasilevsky tries to poke check it away, which is what he's known for. And Zibanejad says, "You know what? I'm just going to put it top shelf." Even Vasilevsky looks behind him like, "Did that really go in?" Yes, it did.
It absolutely did. And I will give credit where credit is due. The Steven Stamkos one-timer on the power play, that was a heater. I will give him credit for that.
Okay. So first of all, I know, Rich, that you cannot stand the Tampa Bay Lightning.
I cannot.
They are your most hated team by far. I find a lot of their players very likable. We have one of them now, former players in Ryan Mcdonough.
We'll give him a pass.
Yeah. But Steven Stamkos I find him so likable. Like, he's just a very come on, Rich. I'm going to talk you into it. He's a good guy.
I'm going to tell you, I was aggravated 10 minutes into the game. Victor Hedman pushed that kid's head down and hurt him. He played like 10 minutes. Yeah, that was uncalled for.
I agree with you.
I was annoyed.
All right. We're going to talk. We're going to continue to talk about this game. Kyle, what are you thinking about the Rangers Lightning game before we get into episode 150 here?
Hey, I told y'all my pick for the Eastern Conference this year.
You did.
Or no, I didn't. I picked Toronto.
I picked Carolina, which a lot of analysts out there, including the great Elliot Friedman, seem to agree with me. I'm really sick of Elliot Friedman stealing all my takes.
You should send him a cease and desist.
Seriously, we did an episode 5 weeks ago, doing our predictions, and I picked Hurricanes over Avalanche. And now all of a sudden, Elliot Friedman wants to swoop in and steal my thunder. I'm like, come on, dude.
I don't get it. Come up with some original content, bro.
Anytime Elliot Friedman agrees with one of my takes, though, I'm going to jump up and down because he's the GOAT.
Sure.
All right. Let's tell everyone what we're getting into here. Episode 150, Catfish on Ice. So happy to have my guys back with me here tonight for an awesome episode. We're going to do a global series recap as the Predators do sweep both games, which on paper we should have expected that. But we know that hockey never goes according to script, and both of those games had some very uncertain moments in them, especially the second game. Those final 2+ minutes when San Jose pulled their empty net, and it felt like the longest 2 minutes of my life.
Sure.
I was just waiting for the Sharks to push a goal past Lankinen, and Lankinen just came up. Not to give away my clutch performers, but Kevin Lankinen came up clutch there.
He did.
So we're going to talk about the Global Series sweep. We got to preview the Dallas Stars. We get to play them twice now.
Yeah.
So you're playing the same two teams in your first 4 games. We play the Dallas Stars on Thursday and Saturday. Bridgestone Arena on Thursday. Let's preview those pesky Dallas Stars. Let's talk about them. A lot to get into with that team. They are a team that I just can't put a peg on, and a lot of people feel the same way. This big news is swooping around. All of us are going to have some strong opinions on this. Philip Tomasino is going to start the season with the Milwaukee Admirals. What does that mean for the Nashville Predators moving forward? What does it mean for his development? We got to get into that. It's a very, very complex issue. Can't wait to get into it with Kyle and Rich there on that. We're going to do our clutch performers of the week. All 3 of us have our clutch performers of the week. We want you to tell us your clutch performers of the week from the Nashville Predators. Share it below. Comment on YouTube. Comment on Twitter. Tell us. And then we'll do some NHL quick hitters to wrap up tonight's episode 150, guys.
It's crazy. 150.
Crazy. Have we not been fired yet?
I don't know.
Even though we'd have to fire ourselves, but still have we not been fired?
Yeah. How have people not figured us out?
I don't know, man, but we're going to keep squirming our way through. First of all, some NFL stuff. Did you guys see that Tom Brady hit, by the way? Because I know a lot of our hockey.
He got hit?
Hey, I know we every now and then we dabble in football because we do run concurrently with football season, and we are in the South, and our listeners most likely love their football as well. I'm sorry. When I saw that Tom Brady personal foul where the guy, all he did was literally he couldn't have tackled him any more softly other than 2-hand touch. And they threw what was literally a game-changing flag.
Yeah.
And I get that we're trying to protect the players. We're trying to protect their heads. That is obviously so important. And I'm not against that. The thing with Tua Tagovailoa with the Miami Dolphins, that made me sick and that made my blood boil. But we're talking about 2 completely different things here.
Yeah.
And you would think that the NFL, the world's most profitable league or whatever, would be able to discern between those 2 different types of situations. What do you guys think about that? Did you guys see it? I know, Rich, you're not a big football guy, but
I didn't see it, but I did hear about it, and I did see that there was a similar call the Chiefs Raiders game that people were pretty uptight about as well. So lots of fireworks in the NFL this weekend.
I'm just assuming you're not allowed to tackle Tom Brady.
I guess not.
Well, yeah,
or any quarterback for that matter. I feel like here's what makes me mad. They definitely give preferential treatment to certain quarterbacks, and that does make me mad. But let's be honest, guys, it happens in the NHL as well.
Oh, yeah. I'm a Bears fan. I watched Jay Cutler get folded for years behind that Swiss cheese O-line we put in front of him. My God.
I don't think it happens. It happens in the NBA. We know that's why I can't even watch the NBA anymore. But definitely, it happens in hockey too. Though you see this superstar treatment. Sidney Crosby gets it. That's why so many people
gets it.
That's why so many people know they realize greatness when it comes to Sidney Crosby. But that dude right there gets all the calls. So if I'm running the NHL right now, I want to get as far away from that as possible.
Yeah.
Don't treat your superstars any different than your fourth liners. Call it evenly. I hate these makeup calls that I know happens. It annoys me. And it annoys everyone. So,
I think the NFL is probably just being like super cautious, but they're taking it too far. Those are I didn't see the Tom Brady, but it doesn't surprise me. But the other one, I did see the Chiefs Raiders hit or supposed hit, and that was definitely if that's roughing the passer, you can't ever tackle them.
And I applaud the NFL for taking this seriously. Finally, when it comes to CTE, when it comes to head injuries, of course you need to take that very seriously. But how has it not been decided on some of these hits?
Right. Nikki said Brady definitely complained about it, and the refs treated him like a squeaky wheel.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So this is the most we're probably going to talk about the NFL ever in a Catfish on Ice episode, but it's episode 150, so why not? And I do think it does correlate with all of sports because we do see it in hockey to a certain extent sometimes. Hockey is such a violent sport. These guys are skating so fast out there. We see brutal hits constantly every game you watch, right? And these guys are the ultimate warriors out there. But sometimes you see these very scary boarding penalties where guys take it too far, and those boards don't have any give to them. I can promise you that. And that's when it really gets scary. And that's the things you got to get out of the game. When you see stuff like that, it ticks you off. But we also got to stay away from this superstar treatment that all of these sports are guilty of.
Yeah. We saw some superstar treatment last year, like you mentioned, Sidney Crosby, and then Malkin he got a little slap on the wrist for basically cracking Mark Borowiecki in the face with a stick. Barely nothing. Yeah, it's just there are the superstars that get the treatment, which is just not fair.
Let's get the Global Series recap started here to open up episode 150. Thank you everyone for joining us tonight. Follow us on Twitter at Catfish Ice. Hit the subscribe button right now if you're watching on YouTube live or watching later. The subscribes really help us out a ton. Comment on the stream, please. Of course. Share it with your friends. The more people that get in on the conversation each episode, the more fun it is for everyone. We love having all of our listeners get in. It's so much fun. All right, so the Global Series recap. Preds win both games. The second game, I felt like the first game, despite the final score, was very much hanging in the balance. The Predators scored that really quick goal from Kiefer Sherwood, but then the Sharks pushed back, and we saw those same issues we're worried about, guys. Penalties. Let's go to Rich. We'll go to Kyle. Overall impressions from the Preds. Should we be impressed from the sweep?
Yes and no, I guess is what I would say.
You can't say both.
Yes, I can.
No.
Yes, I can.
All right.
If you can put who you put for your third clutch performer, I can say both.
Well, we're not going to tell anyone who my third is.
We're not going to tell anybody yet. Anyway, I think the yes side is because they did. We saw some good things. I think Nino Niederreiter is going to be a very special player for the Predators. He's already shown it. Hopefully he can keep that up. We saw a few other things, but then on the no side, like you said, we saw some of the penalties, some of the bad things creep back in. I know that was not technical. Well, the first regular game, I saw lots of passing that didn't look very crisp, just working out the kinks. But I mean, overall it's good, but you are playing the San Jose Sharks. So I don't know. Encouraging. They're 2-0, so that's a good start. So any win's a good win. So
definitely. What about
like what Rich said? It was against the Sharks, so you don't know whether to take it as they were one of the worst teams in the Western Conference last year. They should be coming up a little bit, but Really, how many names on that roster did you know other than people that played for Nashville before?
Couture is a good one.
Couture is
a
good.
good one.
He's definitely good. And then
Eric Carlson is way
an amazing player.
He's way washed up and over the hill, but he's still good. But
Carlson almost got his clock cleaned by a young man.
But I gotta tell you, Tomas Hertl was a menace.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
He came out spitting fire right when the puck dropped, and I can respect that. He scored the power play goal in the first game. I think he's the player that they're trying to figure out if they can re-sign him after the offseason or after this season. He's like the Sharks because he's kind of their franchise cornerstone. So you put him on a better team, he's a superstar.
Yeah.
Yep. I'd agree with that.
Yeah. Did you all see on Twitter real fast before we go? We were talking about penalties. Did you see like the first penalties were committed by Luke Cunnin, Nick Bonino, and Matt Benning, all former Predators? And somebody on Twitter was like, "Yep, so far all Predators have committed all of the penalties."
I got a kick out of it when they called Cunnin for interference. It's like, where have we heard this before?
Yeah, right.
And I'm sorry, everyone. I just misspoke. It's actually their other really elite growing player, Timo Meyer, that they got to figure out how to re-sign.
Meyer is going to be a good player. They've got a lot going for him. Give him a few years.
Tomas Hertl is actually signed. Sorry for not being an expert at the San Jose Sharks.
How dare you?
Thomas Hertl's actually signed through 2029-30, guys. He's got a no move clause. So he literally is their franchise cornerstone. He's signed for over $8 million AAV. So and he earned. Hey, he's at that value. I'm not saying it's a bad contract necessarily, but he's their cornerstone, and he did show it. He was, but he needs help. I mean, that team has no depth whatsoever. Of course, in the second game, Luke Cunning gets the Sharks on the board.
He did
to start the game, and I like Luke Cunning. I don't want to ever misinterpret from anyone that I don't like Luke Cunning. I think he's a bad dude. I just don't think he was the right fit for the Predators. I thought it was a great offseason move that we moved on from him and actually got something in return for him. And now he's playing top line minutes for the San Jose Sharks. Good for him. Happy for him. And he scores a goal. So he was playing big minutes for them.
Good for him, but man, that tells you about the direction of the Sharks, right? I mean, if you've got
they are definitely
on your first
I would
line.
say they are a tick or two better than the Coyotes or the Blackhawks. They are a little better than those teams, but they're still a rebuilding team. They're not a team that's expected to do anything.
Yeah.
Reimer in the first game was very, very good.
Yes, he was.
Him and Saros went toe-to-toe. The second game, Kakkonen was not so good. He actually gave up some pretty soft goals. If you look at his analytics, he was a negative goals saved above expected, whereas Lankinen was way positive there in the goals saved above expected. So Lankinen wins the one-on-one battle with Kakkonen in the battle of the backups in the second game, which I thought was a big storyline for the second game.
Yeah, I did too. Man, I like Kevin Lankinen, man. I don't know. I think
he's a hard guy to not like.
I think it's going to turn out to work out this year. So
you see him, and he's got the big smile on his face all the time, and he's finished, so he's naturally nice. And,
right. Yeah, and he's not.
And
he got out of Chicago, so he's
talking
probably
about we're talking about a guy who's still so young in his NHL journey.
Yes,
third season in the NHL, right?
Yeah,
and I mean, he's on a 1-year prove it deal here. $1.5 million. The Preds went out and got him. This dude has to be so hungry right now, not only to win for his team, obviously, but he's playing for himself here. He is playing to get that next starter deal next offseason because and I mean, I don't know. I can't look into the future, but maybe if he has a great year, the Predators hold on to him. But if he has a great year, he's going to want more money. Do the Preds re-sign him as a backup? No. So now that Connor Ingram, which we're going to talk about later, is no longer with the organization, he was claimed by the Arizona Coyotes. So now, just crystal ball looking way into this time next year, what are the Predators doing at backup if Kevin Lankinen has a really, really good year? That's hard to say right now.
Yeah, it sure is. I mean, because we know who, Askarov's going to have 1 year.
Are we really going to call up Askarov after just 1 year in Milwaukee? What do you think, Kyle?
That's what I'm getting at.
That's
a hard sell.
That's a tough row to hoe, as the old timers would say. It depends on how much load he gets in Milwaukee this year. If he's starting 50-plus games, then, yeah, he might be ready to be backup for Saros. But if he's still being eased into things and he's not taking over that job in Milwaukee, then he needs to stay down another year. That's one of those that you got to wait until the cake rises to see what you've got.
For sure.
I really don't see a situation where he's going to be Saros' backup after 1 year in the AHL. I just don't think it's going to happen.
But now that Connor Ingram's not in the picture,
Yeah, I know. It's weird.
Kevin Lankinen's on a 1 year deal. If he has a great year, he's going to want to go somewhere else. And you're not going to pay him. Are you really going to pay a backup goaltender more than $1.5 million?
Yeah.
There's no need to.
No. So the Predators are going to once again find themselves in the same situation next offseason, scrambling to find a 1 year rental for a backup. I don't really like being in that carousel each year, but we'll worry about that when the time comes. Right now, it looks like the Predators do have a really good 1-2 punch at goaltender, and perhaps UC Saros does have a good relief to where he won't have to start so many games. We'll see. But that's definitely a big takeaway from the Global Series. Let's get back into Kiefer Sherwood here. He scores the first goal. Kyle, I know that you've been beating a drum on Kiefer Sherwood for a while. What did you see from him? What was so impressive for you from him?
The biggest thing I've seen on Sherwood is his motor. He is, if he's on the ice, you're hearing his name, because he's going to be up in the net front, up in somebody's face. He's just always going after the puck. It's just constant. He's a very aggressive player, and I tend to gravitate towards those type of guys.
We like that.
That's identity, boys. Identity.
You brought it up, not me.
There it is. The I word.
Yep. And I love the fact that on the Behind the Glass series, John Hines is using identity in team meetings. It's not just for the media and us; it's for the team too. So
yeah, for sure.
I just think he plays to that identity so well that Hines is wanting, and I think that's why he ended up getting that shot.
And I respect John Hines. I really do respect John Hines for rewarding players that might not fit the narrative. Maybe it doesn't fit the cookie cutter, what everyone expects him to do, and he's making a coaching decision because guess what? He is the head coach. That's what he's paid to do. And he is making the really difficult decisions, whereas we're all sitting here chirping on the sidelines telling him what to do. But looking at Kiefer Sherwood's career, he broke into the league in 2018-19 with the Anaheim Ducks, played 50 games in his first season, only put up 12 points. And since then, he's just been a spot player, just randomly getting games here and there. 10 games the next season, 16 games with Colorado, 11 games last season with Colorado. He hasn't really stuck yet on the NHL level, but a very under-the-radar offseason pickup by the Nashville Predators.
Absolutely.
No one was talking about it, because the Predators, every team does this over the offseason. They pick up these minimum cheap deals and to build training camp competition, if anything, and then they might end up cutting that player. They might end up sending that player down to the AHL. but you're hoping that one of these minimal contract players completely show out in training camp and surprise you.
And there you go.
That's literally what Kiefer Sherwood has been for John Hines.
Yep. Fighting for a spot, and he took a spot. So I would say so. Good on him, I guess. That's awesome.
For
Absolutely.
Sure.
It was a good one of those good dirty goals right in front of the net too. So that's the stuff that Predator, you love to see that kind of stuff as a Predators fan.
And then of course Nino Niederreiter, he's the NHL leader in goals right now, guys. But Zibanejad's coming for him.
Yeah, he is. For sure.
There's no Connor McDavid in sight. I don't know what's going on with McDavid here, guys, but he hasn't scored a goal yet this season. And Nino Niederreiter is actually the league in goals.
He hasn't played a game yet, but I'm sure he'll score a few.
No one cares about those facts.
He'll end up with a double hat trick in the first game or something ridiculous.
Probably.
Do a flip.
What is happening?
In all seriousness, Nino Niederreiter is definitely he's lived up to the bill of what we've been saying since he was added to this team. He's going to add toughness to this team. He's going to add veteran experience to this team. He's going to add smartness, a smart play to his game. And then, of course, he's going to do the things on the score sheet, like score goals. And I got to say, because I don't want this to be overlooked, because he got criticized so much over the offseason, including on this podcast. What about that slick veteran pass from Eeli Tolvanen to Nino Niederreiter on that one goal? I think that was in the second game.
So here's as pretty as it was, I think it was more impressive for this reason. Last year, Eeli would have panicked and fired a wrister.
Yep.
And it would have been a badly aimed shot that he knew wasn't going to be.
It would have either missed the net or would have been a routine save for the goaltender.
Yes.
Right.
This year, I think he's continued to mature a little bit. He's more comfortable. He seems like he's skating more comfortable. And he comes in, is patient, and takes that puck in and stays patient to make that pass, waits till that lane is open to get it perfectly over to Niederreiter. And Nino does the same thing. He waits just a half a second for the player in front of him to clear him and the goalie to bite. That is a super highly patient and professional play, which is why I think Mr. Sherwood might have lost his spot. Anyways, we'll talk about that later.
No, that was such a veteran. I loved that, to see that so much from Tolvanen, that he trusted his line mates there. And he got rewarded for playing on a line with someone who he can trust, and he makes the smart veteran decision, hockey play, to find Niederreiter instead of just making like Kyle just said. He could have just fired it into the goalie's pads, and it would have been a very routine save. You draw a face-off in your zone, and no one thinks twice about it. They're like, okay. And then Tolvanen's shooting percentage was so horrendous last year. How many of those bad shots was he taking, where he was just taking very low percentage, easy saves for the goaltender to make? Well, that would have been one of them right there, most likely. Instead, he makes the right decision. He finds his line mate. Niederreiter connects like he's going to do a lot of times because he's that type of player. And you love to see the teamwork. You love how this team, through these first two games and what you're seeing in the Behind the Glass series, what you're seeing in training camp and interviews, all the footage, this team plays for each other. They really do. They've all got their back. The newcomers on the team, you would have thought they've been on this team for years. And that's a credit to John Hines for the culture he's building, because that's not an easy thing to do. It's not in any line of work.
Yeah, especially the situation that Hines, when he took over, that locker room.
When
was a mess.
I mean,
We all
when
know
I
that.
look at Nino, when I look at Mcdonough, when I look at Sherwood, when I look at all these guys I'm seeing, they look so comfortable. They look like they're so bought into this organization and they're so ready to do something special. And I get the same vibes that I get from Forsberg and Yossi, who have been with this team. Ekholm, the guys who have went through it. Colton Sissons has went through it. And I get that same sense from the new guys, and it's just a great thing to see. And I think it's going to take this team a long way.
Yeah, I agree 100%. McDonough seems to fit right in, like you said, really well. Love the way he's playing. I think Nino just it's amazing that he's gelled as well as he has so quickly. I think I put on Twitter something like he could be the best offseason acquisition they've had possibly ever.
To be honest, something
if it works out.
I mean, Matt Duchene would beg to differ because he was an off-season addition. That's going to be a tough one because a lot of the big additions that the Predators have made over the years actually came during the season. They made like a lot of trade deadline deals. The Predators historically have never been a big player when it comes to getting into the free agency market, even going back to their early years. It's very rare. They're not that type of team normally. So the fact that they were so aggressive this offseason and you're seeing these early positive returns against one rebuilding team, it's only 2 games. We're not going too crazy here, but we're just calling it like we see it. The first 2 games we've seen, very encouraging. And anytime you can get a back-to-back wins to open a season, you're going to be happy. It doesn't matter who it's against.
Yep.
So I got a question for y'all, real quick, just off the top. I was talking to somebody about this today. Looking at the decor, the way it is set up right now, Yossi, Carrier, Ekholm, Mcdonough, and then your 5 being Fabro, and then 6-7 Lazan and Boro. If they had that decor last year for the entire season and nothing else changes, does UC Saros win the Vezina Trophy?
Oh, that's a good question.
I mean, he was already a Vezina nomination. I don't know, man.
How many goals?
Shesterkin was so dominant, though. I don't know if he could overtake Shesterkin.
If UC stayed healthy and you had that defense core, how many times did we lose games because Ben Harper let in a stupid goal?
No. Ben Harper has resurfaced.
I'm just saying.
Ben Harper has joined the chat.
I think that this new and improved decor could be the biggest difference from the last year to this year. I know the forwards are a lot of difference, but I think it's the most solid decor they've had since PK Subban left.
I think he would have gotten closer. I don't see him overtaking Shesterkin, but I do agree with what you're saying. The defense is like I think we talked about it last episode, like moving Fabro, take some pressure off him, allow him to maybe, get more comfortable, I guess. He always sort of looked a little uncomfortable. Mcdonough obviously is, what he brings. And
we kind of saw it on the penalty kill as well. Ryan McDonough's presence on the penalty kill, guys, cannot be overstated enough. He is going to make a huge difference. You saw it so quick. Ryan McDonough out there being in the right position. I mean, there were times where the Sharks were on the power play, and then also in that second game, it's basically like a power play because they got the net empty and it's 6-on-5. I mean, they couldn't clear the puck to save their lives, but you see guys like Ryan McDonough just laying their body out there to protect UC Saros, and it just gets your blood pumping, man. Like you want to run through a brick wall and get out there and help them. You want to like literally get on the ice, even though I would probably die if I got out there with them. But you want to get out there and block a shot with them. Like you're just like, I want to get in there because you see these guys just letting it all out there to protect UC Saros and protect Kevin Lankinen. in that situation. And
Yeah.
that's the kind of guys you got to have,
Mhm.
especially for a team like the Nashville Predators. Maybe they don't lead the league in penalties this year, but they're going to be up there. Let's be honest, guys. They're going to be top 5. It's the way they play. It's a product of their system. I think if you hooked John Hines up to a lie detector, he would say, yeah, we're going to be top 5 this year in penalties probably.
Yeah.
And he would be okay with it if they can kill penalties and they can play a great system and only take penalties when it's necessary or when it's the product of just playing aggressive. Maybe it was a bang, bang, borderline call where the official just didn't call it quite your way. But we got to stay away from some of these really lackadaisical, just – I don't want to say lazy because I don't think any of the guys are lazy. But we got to stay away from these careless penalties.
Yeah.
And I know we love Tanner Jeannot, but he had one that I call careless. He just wasn't paying attention with his stick. He got his stick caught up in a guy. And just those are the penalties we've got to avoid. And I know the guys know that. But if we can cut those out, then you'll live with some of these other penalties that are just the product of how aggressive they play. We'll be okay with that because I do think our penalty kill is going to be top half in the league. I could see that. I could see them being a top half of the league penalty kill with Ryan McDonough in there, of course. Matthias Ekholm's a great penalty killer. Yakov Trenin was killing off some big penalty minutes as well. So we've got a lot of great. Colton Sissons is an outstanding penalty killing forward. We know that. So this crew can kill some penalties.
Yeah.
So we can live with some of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think McDonough, I don't know. We obviously don't have no clue what's going to happen with the Predators this season, but I think Tampa Bay is going to wind up missing McDonough.
Well, they already know that. Yeah. They didn't want to lose him.
Yeah, I know they didn't want to, but I think that's going to rear its head.
I've talked to I live down here in St. Pete, which is right across the bridge from Tampa. There's so many Lightning fans around here, and I've talked to a lot of them, just off the record, just having fun, sports talk, you know, stuff. And first of all, almost every Lightning fan I've met has told me they have no problem with the Predators, and they kind of think they're a cool team. Most of them, like it's not really a rivalry, obviously. But
no.
But I can tell you that almost every fan I've talked to that are really into like hockey, like really invested in the Tampa Bay Lightning, they are hurting bad about losing McDonough. Like it kind of feels the equivalent if we lost Matthias Ekholm in a way like that, or if we lost. I don't know if I'd put him on Roman Yossi's level as losing him, but I would compare him to like if we lost Matthias Ekholm in that fashion, we would be hurt. Yeah, you know,
for sure.
That's kind of what I would equate it to.
Yeah.
But
it's crazy.
All right, guys. So I just call it a business trip. I mean, I know that's a very cliche thing they use in sports, but that's what I call it. And it was a very successful business trip. You know, past Preds teams, they play down to their competition. They don't take care of business when they're the better team on paper. No disrespect to the San Jose Sharks, but the Predators are the better team on paper. And so it was very nice to see them come out with 4 points like they should. That's how I feel about that.
Yeah, same. It was it was fun and exciting to watch. The first game, the second game actually, you know, it was a little closer. You're a little more on pins and needles a little bit. Like, come on, guys, get this, you know, wrap this up. But yeah, I mean, some good and some bad, lots of things to work on, but looked pretty good to me.
Which is perfect to take us into our next segment here. Catfish on Ice, episode 150, presented by DraftKings, promo code THPN. We've got the link right now on Twitter in our tweet here while you're watching the show. So click on that link if you're a new user and use our promo code THPN for some awesome hockey offers that we're going to get into a little bit later. Before we do that, let's preview the next opponent on the schedule. That is the Dallas Stars. And the competition is about to ramp up a little bit. Again,
always
no disrespect to the San Jose Sharks, but the Dallas Stars, we're stepping up our game a little bit here.
It's always a good game.
No love lost between these two opponents, and both teams went through some minor changes. I don't think the Stars went through nearly as much changes as the Predators did, although they did lose Klingberg. That's their big loss of the offseason for the Dallas Stars. They ended up figuring out a way to hold on to Jason Robertson and avoid disaster, even though that lingered. That lingered way longer than any of us thought it would, but they got him. So what are we thinking, guys, about the Dallas Stars? I feel like they're the hardest team to put a peg on out of almost – I don't know what to make of them. They could be the second best team in the division. They could end up missing the playoffs altogether. I really don't know where to place them at all. Like it hurts my head to even think about it.
It's an absolute crapshoot with Dallas.
Absolutely.
I'm right there with you. I don't know where to slot them. They could finish anywhere from second to fifth, and they've got a really young goalie. They've got some really young talent. And then they've got some veterans who are saying they're healthy and they're good to go, but have underperformed the last couple of years in Sagan and Ben. They lost Klingberg. Rupe Hintz is an awesome player. Miro Heiskanen is a Norris-level defenseman. There's so much just contradiction among that team.
Yes.
They have a new coach. It's going to be interesting to see how they play.
A recycled head coach, if you will. Pete DeBoer, he's been all over the place.
They just dump names in a hat.
I mean, up until the last year or so, Dallas has flat bullied the Predators since the Cup run. Kind of walked all over them, so it's probably going to be a physical game too. I really look to see Boro start Thursday.
I agree with that. I like that actually a lot. In a matchup like this, you start Borowiecki. I like that a lot. I agree.
He was hurt. Hopefully he's fine. That's why he didn't play the second game.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I know Emma Lingen was posting where he was talking to her at practice this morning. So hopefully he's good to go.
I'm sure it was just – I mean, it's a back-to-back, and he's not a spring chicken anymore. And if he was having any type of a maintenance thing, you're not going to throw him in there when you have Jeremy Lazan.
For sure. Nikki is our resident Stars fan.
I want to hear from Nikki. I forgot that she's a big Dallas Stars fan. She can give us some insight here.
They will go on losing streaks and winning streaks. I think, again, they're a wild card team this year, but as soon as playoffs start, look out.
I can't disagree with Nikki there at all because they got Jake Ottinger, who put up one of the – I know the Dallas Stars lost that series, but he put out one of the best playoff performances single-handedly by a goaltender in the analytics era. If you look at his underlying numbers that he put up, his goals saved above expected and all this stuff, can he do it in a full regular season is still very much up in the air, but I think he can do it. He's another big-bodied goaltender. He's massive, and he's one of the next great young goaltenders in this league. So, we haven't mentioned Joe Pavelski. He put up some pretty big numbers last season. Yeah, he found the fountain of youth last year. Can he find it again? I think he'll be another great player. I mean, I don't think he's just going to suddenly drop off a cliff. I mean, but he's also he's a 38-year-old player. So
but boy, can he tip them.
How much more can he really do? When I look at the forward groups, when I look at the forward lines for the Stars, this is where I jump off board with them. This is where I just don't trust them as much. And this is where I want to say they're going to be a good team because they got Ottinger. They've got some really good defensemen, and they've got Jason Robertson, of course, and they've got Pavelski. But do I trust Jamie Benn? He's the captain, and he deserves to be captain as far as he's a great leader and he's a veteran. But do I trust him to just suddenly morph back into what he used to be? Tyler Sagan, another player who's getting on up there. He's not crazy. He's in the prime of his career, I guess you could say, in a way, but he had a down year last year. So I don't know. It's a very hard team to put a peg on. So
for sure.
One thing I'll say going into this matchup, though, is the Predators better not shoot themselves in the foot in a matchup like this, because I do think the Dallas Stars will run all over them if
Mm-hmm.
the Predators don't bring their A game.
Yeah, I agree. I think you can never, no matter who's playing for Dallas, you can't discount them. And the Predators should never discount them because it's always, no matter who's playing, a very tough game. So, yeah, don't take anything for granted.
And it's going to be their season opener.
And it's their season opener.
So they're going to be fired up.
Yep. But Nashville should be fired up too. Their home opener. So home opener.
They'll be back home in Bridgestone Arena, so they're going to be fired up for sure. But it's going to be a fun game.
Absolutely.
I love the way the schedule has worked out here because they got 4 days off to get back home, chill out a little bit. I think that's awesome for them. Because that was a long trip there. They were over there for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And they get to come back and spend some time with their families, get back acclimated with being back over to the United States, get back into sleep in their beds a couple nights, their own beds, and then they get to play at home and open up for the home crowd. So I do think the schedule worked out pretty well in that regard, and should be a really great game. Should be an awesome game. It always is.
Looking forward to it for sure.
All right, we're going to move right along here. Episode 150 of Catfish on Ice. Before we do, again, we're presented by DraftKings. Promo code THPN. Hockey fans, it's finally time to hit the ice again. And thanks to DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, you're in for the season of a lifetime. New customers can bet $5 on any team and get $200 in free bets if they win. If I would have been betting on this Kings Vegas Golden Knights matchup that's happening, I would have taken the Kings. The Kings are my sleeper pick to win the Pacific Division this year. They are a team that I feel like has gone through the rebuild process, and maybe they've finally gotten to the point where they're going to actually see results. So that's who I would have thrown my $5 down on tonight if I was using DraftKings in this awesome offer. And if that wasn't enough excitement, you can turn small bets into bigger payouts with same-game parlays. Combine multiple bets, like which team will win, how many goals will be scored, and more for your shot at an even bigger payout. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code THPN. Bet $5 on any NHL team to win their game and get $200 in free bets if they do. That's code THPN at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See our show notes for details on if you need gambling help and have a gambling problem or crisis. And there are ways you can reach out to get help with that. And DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. You can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want.
Kings are up 1-0 in that game.
All right. See, my bet would have paid off.
BT Dubs.
I know Rich is watching it now. I've had it on up here. Have you seen the atrocity that is these new Vegas home jerseys and these Kings helmets? And it's just like clashing together, and I'm waiting for my screen to catch on fire.
The glitter gold, man. I just can't.
What about speaking of cringe moments, did you guys see the referee for the first game give his little speech before he dropped the puck? That was kind of awkward.
They got roasted for that.
It was Twitter. Did you see it, Kyle?
No, I didn't. I've seen the tweets about it though.
God. So the ref basically it's like very forced. It almost sounds like a hostage situation, but the ref's like, all right, guys, like the players are like ready to like drop the puck. They're like ready to play, and the ref's like, all right, guys, let's have a great game. We're happy to be here. Play great, play smart. This is the best game ever. Like it's really awkward and forced, and then he just drops the puck. It was like the weirdest.
It was really strange.
So it was not an awesome Wes McCauley moment then.
No, definitely not.
It was.
So
it was super.
Actually didn't have the game on, but I do now. So the Kings are wearing their nice shiny chrome helmets.
Okay, you got. I'm gonna actually play this.
And the Golden Knights are wearing their nice shiny gold jerseys. Oh,
Kyle, I'm going to play this. Hopefully you can hear it and our listeners can hear it. All right. I'm going to play it over the microphone.
Here comes our
all right, hold on. Technology is hard for me, apparently. All right, Kyle, this is your first time hearing this. Listen to how awkward this is.
Our great players and our great fans, welcome to opening night of the 2022-23 NHL season. What's better than this? Good luck to all players. Let's have a great season.
It was just so random.
Okay, then.
What's better than this?
And here comes our
The two centers are sitting there looking at him like, man,
They're
What are you doing, dude?
You serious right now?
Stop it.
They should have got that one French Canadian referee who has the real thick accent to do it. That would have been great.
that would have been very funny.
Or get Wes McCauley to do it. That would have been.
Wes
it would have been
McCauley
good
would
then.
have made a show out of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
There
Yeah,
would have been
for sure.
fireworks or something.
Yeah. So now,
I think he's the only ref with fans ever.
yeah, pretty much.
Let's move on to the big topic here that's sweeping Nashville Predators circles right now, and that is the curveball that everyone's been thrown here from the coaching staff, making the decision that Philip Tomasino is going to start the season in Milwaukee. And the reason why is the only reason that it's a big surprise to me is you're talking about a player who played 76 games last year as a rookie. And I got to say, I'm not saying it's the wrong decision, but it's very, very rare, I got to think, for a player to play 76 games in his rookie year, put up over 30 points. It's not like he had a bad rookie year.
You're right.
Hi, Boyd.
Yeah, he shows up for the best topic of the night for sure.
Right.
But it's like that's the only thing that's the curveball for me. It's not the coaching decision to sit him down. The kid's 20 years old. So obviously, if you think he needs more development and he needs more ice time and he needs more top line minutes, then of course the best place for him to go is the Milwaukee Admirals. It's so rare to see this happen because it's not like Thomasino played 20 games here and there and they were experimenting with him last year and, like it just didn't work out. And it's like, okay, we know your talent, but you're going to start off in Milwaukee this year. It's like this is a big gamble from Hines. It is because if for some reason this team sputters and goes through a 20-game stretch where they can't score and their lines aren't producing, and then they got to take Thomasino back up to get him back into the lineup, that's going to look bad, and it's going to throw things off. But I do understand where he's coming from as far as, okay, he's 20 years old. Let's pump the brakes. He needs more development. We don't want him wasting away, not getting much ice time on the NHL level when he could be in Milwaukee and he could be developing even more. I do get that part of it. Let's go to Kyle first, and then we'll go to Rich.
You sure you want to do that? I've made some people mad here.
Oh, we want to hear it.
Madder than they already are.
I've read some of your takes, and I agree with them. I want to hear what you got to say about it.
So, okay. I like Phil Tomasino. I think he is going to be a great NHL player. I'm saying this to preface what I'm about to say. Hockey is a business. In this business, your number one goal as a management group and as a coaching staff is to win games. The purpose of training camp and preseason games is to determine the players that give you the best chance at that moment to win games. It was put out there to the players. We have it on video. These practices will matter. These scrimmages will matter. Philip Tomasino was simply outplayed and outproduced in these scrimmages, practices, and preseason games by other players like Kiefer Sherwood. I'm not going to say he's
Cole
even
Smith.
Cole. I won't even say he was even in the conversation with Cole Smith or Michael McCarron. I think that is completely irrelevant. They weren't going to put him back on the fourth line because he's not a fourth line player. He spent all year on a fourth line last year because there was nobody else in this organization to play that spot.
Yep.
When you get down to brass tacks, there wasn't anybody else.
And that's what it comes down to.
There was not enough depth through organization-wide depth that you could have put him anywhere else or viably sent him down. It just wouldn't have worked. You look this year, you have Niederreiter comes in, fills that spot on the right wing on second line. McCarron made himself into and I didn't like McCarron. I wanted to not like McCarron.
You watch the documentary?
And then you see him, how he is in the room. And you know what?
He's a tone setter.
He really did. He calmed down quite a bit and made himself into a pretty reliable fourth line guy. Cole Smith, that's whatever. I'm not going to make that argument because, like I said in the first place, Thomasino's not going to play on the fourth line. He is a top 6 player. He is not going to get better at being a top 6 player playing on a fourth line. I don't care if it's an NHL fourth line or an ECHL fourth line. He's not going to learn how to be a better top 6 player on any fourth line. So therefore, if he is not good enough, I hate to say he's not good enough. If he is not prepared enough in his journey as a hockey player to take this second line top 6 role in an NHL environment, send him to arguably the best coach in the AHL. Let him teach him how to be the man again, because it's been 2 or 3 years since he's been that. He has been down in the lineup and everything since pretty much juniors. Yes, I know he played 26 games for the Chicago Wolves. Big whoop. I don't really count anything from that season. That's what development is a top 6 forward going to get in 26 games.
We're going to go to Rich here. I just wanted to say one thing. They have much bigger plans, future plans for Philip Tomasino, and they don't want to screw this up by, to Kyle's point, by putting him on the fourth line and getting 10 to 12 minutes a game. And just, I mean, the growth he can get from being in Milwaukee. And Boyd jumped in. Our friend Boyd jumped in just now, and he put up a really good tweet that I came across. And he's down there now commenting. But I want to give Boyd credit because I came across a tweet he put out saying basically we're seeing what Cody Glass did last year. It's the same situation in a way. Not exactly the same, but they're similar situations, like because everyone thought Cody Glass was going to, start the season. He did start the season on the Preds roster last year, and then he got sit down, and people were upset about it. Well, Thomasino's not even starting the season on the Predators roster. Mm-mm. So it's a shock to the system a little bit, but this is how it works. And it could blow up in Heinz's face, though. I'm telling you right now, it could, because if he goes down there and he does shine, he has a great year with Milwaukee, but for some reason this team sputters and there's not a lot of depth, or he's having to shuffle lines or whatever, and then he has to bring him back up again mid-season, I think that's going to look bad. So that's my only reservation about it.
See, I disagree. I kind of agree with what we were talking about Boyd. Boyd says he sees him back on the team by Thanksgiving. I think that is entirely possible. Mm-hmm. If he goes down and he's scoring, if he's point per game and, he is centering or either on the wing on that top power play unit and he's scoring goals, he's leading the team in points. If he goes down and he's lighting it up, I think he comes right back up.
But I get that. But if you bring him back up that quick, for me, it's kind of like, so what did we do for a month here? It's like, okay, he proves once again that he can produce on the AHL level, which we know he can do. Mm-hmm. So my thing is, if you call him back up a month later, where do you put him? Like, it doesn't solve your problems if you've still got Kiefer Sherwood and you like that. That's my biggest thing is, and let's say,
That's the thing, though. I think this whole thing hinges on Eeli Tolvanen.
That's a good point.
If Tolvanen can, he played well in the first 2 games. If he can keep that up, I don't see any reason to move him. If he starts playing bad, You could move
And
Sherwood up, I guess. You're not going to move anybody else up. There's only 2 people that you could put in that spot. I think at that point, if Tolvanen starts dropping off, that's probably when
that's a really good point, Rich, and that's true.
Yeah.
Ellie Tolvanen kind of holds the cards here because we know that he can, if he can have a bounce back year and really take off this year, then problem solved. You've got your top 6, and then suddenly Kiefer Sherwood is a really damn good 4th line player.
Yeah.
And you can also interchange Sherwood into the 4th line. You've still got your Zach Sanfords, your Michael McCarrons, your Cole Smiths down there to play 4th line minutes. And then you've got your Herd line. You've got your Forsberg, Granlund, Duchesne line. And suddenly you can roll out 4 forward lines that you can be super confident in. Again, if you call Thomasino back up in November because he's tearing it up at the AHL, where do you put him? Is there room for him at that point? And then you're talking about maybe damaging his development or his confidence even more. Hopefully he can do exactly what Cody Glass did and take it in stride because he's such a young player. I mean, his hockey career is not over, obviously. He's got the whole future.
Barely started.
Exactly. He's got the whole future ahead of him. So hopefully he takes this in stride just like Cody Glass did.
Yep.
Again, very different situations because Cody Glass was already coming from a different organization as the 6th overall pick and didn't get used properly and got treated horribly by that organization, quite frankly.
And injuries.
So they are 2 different situations, but they are kind of similar. I get it. But we'll just have to watch and see. I think it's a big gamble from Hines, but it could pay off. Obviously, he's the head coach, and he knows way more what's going on in that organization than I can even pretend to know. But I do think it's kind of a gamble, and we'll see what happens. But Rich, you say Ellie Tolvanen, but are you on board with this for now?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we don't know what happened, but it seemed like he just wasn't showing the coaching staff what they needed to see. So, they want him to eventually be a top 6 player consistently. And if it wasn't showing them that, in training camp, then there's no choice really, but to make that happen. And if down the stretch, if there's not a spot for him on the 2nd line, don't bring him back up at all. Because you don't want him, like you said, he's not being on the 4th line, getting 10 to 12 minutes.
I'm on board with that. That's what I can get on board with.
Yeah.
If the team's humming and everything's working out great and they've got their forward lines that are all working great and they've got that line chemistry and all that good stuff, then you absolutely leave Thomasino in the AHL and you let him get a full season down there to just – I don't even want to say dominate, but just have a really good, strong season of growth. I don't like the idea of, bringing him back up, sending him back down, bringing him back up, moving him all around. I want him in, obviously he's going to have to be called up if injuries happen or if poor play happens, he's going to be quickly called back up again. I get that. But I don't want him to be thrown around left and right. Because I don't think he's waiver eligible. I think
he's waiver eligible.
He is waiver eligible.
Yep.
So if they call him back up and send him back down,
nothing's going to happen.
Yeah. So he's ineligible. He's waiver ineligible. So what I'm saying is,
he is not eligible to be picked off of waivers.
That's what I was saying. That's what I was trying to get at. Yeah. So you're saying you can move him back and forth if you want, but I just don't like the idea of that. If he's down there, then live with your decision. Call him back up if you feel the need to due to injuries or if it just gets really bad. But I'm kind of hoping he's in Milwaukee and he gets a full season of growth if that's where you're going to put him at.
Boyd has I'm going to put it up here on the screen, but I'm going to preface it with, we saw this watching Behind the Glass when Igor Afanasyev was told he was going back to Milwaukee. You saw the disappointment on his face.
Mm-hmm.
You saw, the other coaches just kind of sat there, but Carl Taylor took a moment to lift that dude up and say, "Hey man, you'll be fine." And this is what Boyd said. The upside of the glass precedent, and we know Carl Taylor knows how to handle a prospect disappointed in not making the team, but who needs to build his game. And I think that's exactly what
he's definitely in good hands.
Yes, absolutely.
We have such a great system thanks to Carl Taylor leading down there, and so he's going into good hands. He's going to be on a good team.
Yep.
So that part's great.
What player would not benefit at that age from a year of playing for Taylor?
Yeah,
for sure.
And that coaching staff, Rollo and all them guys, they have done wonders for the Pred system. They have taken some recruits that were unknown. You made Matthew Olivier into an NHL player. He's playing for the Blue Jackets.
Yep.
You took Tanner Janot from this rough article that he was when he came in, and you made him into one of the more popular players in the NHL last year, period, that redefined what made a lot of people rethink what the Calder Trophy actually meant. I mean, these guys aren't doing these things if it's not for Carl Taylor and his staff. You look at Alexander Carrier, all these guys have came up that have spent time in that system, have came up to the Preds or whatever organization they ended up in and have been ready to play, have been solid, good players, every one of them almost.
Yeah.
I don't see how him playing down there I don't think it will be all season, but if it is, I'm perfectly okay with it. My air compressor just kicked on and almost scared me to death.
I didn't know where you were going with that about the air compressor. I thought you were.
I may have had a mini heart attack.
I thought you were about to. I thought you were about to have like the craziest analogy ever when you brought up air compressor. I'm like,
no. You're probably going to see my eyes get real big for like a quarter second before I realize what it was, because my garage is right behind me.
All
I see is an empty Bridgestone Arena behind you. But
I'm in Bridgestone. It was the Zamboni kicked on.
I thought you were in Bridgestone the whole time. I had no clue that you were
kind of cold in here.
Anywhere else.
And I don't have any arms. Your arms.
Good stuff there. Philip Tomasino starting the season in Milwaukee. Tell us how you feel about it. Tweet the show at Catfish Ice. Comment on the live stream on our YouTube channel. Hit subscribe while you're there, please. It helps a ton. All right, let's move along here, gentlemen. Let's unveil our first edition of our Clutch Performers of the Week. So for new listeners of the show, we've done this since the podcast started. We're going into our third season covering the Predators on this podcast. And we like to do Clutch Performers of the Week. It's very similar to your 3 stars of the game, that every game they pick a 3 stars of the game. We do our Clutch Performers of the Week from the Nashville Predators. Some weeks are harder than others. There's some weeks.
This is a hard one.
Rich, you can remember plenty of weeks where the Predators lost all of their games, and we had to dig deep in the barrel to find 3 clutch performers.
Yeah. There was one stretch where it was like,
oh man, it was.
We had to pick from 3 games to get 3 guys, clutch performer guys.
But I don't think this is that week. We've got this is hard because there's plenty of guys to choose from because the Predators won both of their games. It's hard in that level too.
Yeah.
But we're gonna do both of our list. I'm kind of messing around with technology here, but we're gonna share it on the screen here. Let me make sure. All right, we are going to share Rich's list first. All right, Rich, you're up.
Okay.
Clutch Performers of the Week.
My second one.
We're going to share it on the screen here so that all of our viewers can see it. Hold on a second.
Boyd said Matt Benning for taking multiple penalties. Yep.
Hey, that's fair. You can make him your Clutch Performer of the Week. All right.
There it is. Number 3.
And real quick before you go, Rich, we apologize to Kyle for being covered up by the DraftKings sponsor logo.
Wave your hands up, Kyle. Stick your hands up in the air, sir.
Kyle, are you okay? I can't see you.
I'm living out a lifelong dream of being Wilson from Home Improvement.
Oh, you are. Look at you.
You are.
Howdy ho, neighbor.
For the remainder of this segment, Kyle is the DraftKings logo, unfortunately.
He is.
All right.
He's down there.
Go ahead with your Clutch Performers.
All right. Kiefer Sherwood, we just talked about him. Young man did great in training camp, got a goal and a point in the first game. Good on you. I mean, we don't know where he's going to wind up. We don't know if he's going to stay where he is. Well, he already got moved down to the fourth line the second game, but yeah, man, he got a spot on the roster, so that's good. Second one, Philip Forsberg, not really clutch. You kind of just expect him to be good, but I think getting a goal and a point.
He looked really good out there.
He looked good. Yeah, he looked good.
He could have easily had another goal or two, like in that. I mean, he was very dominant. He was skating really well.
For sure.
He didn't have like a slow start to the season after getting that new contract. I didn't sense any of that.
That's part of it. You know, he came in and took care of business. And then I think probably all of our clutch performers are going to have Nino Niederreiter as number one. I've said it tonight already, but I think he's going to be awesome. Looked good. That Tolvanen pass that he finished was just like Sports Center worthy. It was just beautiful. So, yeah, man, I'm excited to see Niederreiter on this team for sure. So he's my number one.
Nice. All right. Good list there from Rich.
Nino.
Kiefer Sherwood, Philip Forsberg, and Nino Niederreiter. All right, let me pull up the next one here. We're going to pull up Kyle's list here. Give us a second to get this pulled up here.
Excuse me.
All right. Kyle, I'm excited about your list here. I thought it was a good one.
Good list.
1 second. Technology is not my friend today.
It happens.
Kyle, go ahead with your list, and then we'll share it on the screen.
Okay. My third star, I guess you could say, was Ryan Mcdonough. Mcdonough really impressed me. I've watched Mcdonough whenever Nashville's played against Tampa in the last few years, and then you hear the stories about how he's played and how solid he is and all these things. One thing that really stood out to me is his positioning. Whenever he's out there, it looks like he's almost 2 seconds ahead in his head. Like, he was jumping passes that I'm used to see happen against Nashville. It's pretty cool to see that happening for us now. Just his level of poise, and him and Ekholm seem to be just gelling as a D pair. And I think the impact from him is going to be, he could be clutch all year. Going on to my second pick is Cody Glass, and I'm so exceptionally happy for this kid. We've all seen the video of him tearing up whenever he's being told that he's made the team and that the guys want him there and everything else. So we're all happy for him. The kid is playing on the penalty kill. He's playing on the power play. He's centering the second power play unit. He is getting every opportunity to make something out of this go. And you know what? I believe he's going to do it.
And he's in the face-off circle, Kyle. About him.
He is nice in that face-off circle. And he is a dog. He will get down on the ice and dig for it.
Prototypical center. He's such a prototypical center, which has eluded this organization for so long.
I was really impressed with his play. I was really impressed with his play away from the puck. That has improved a lot. John Hines talked about when he first came to the organization being a willing skater. He used that in reference to Duchesne and Johansson. And when Duchesne got sent down to the third line there for a while and everything else, said he had to be a willing skater. Cody Glass is a willing skater. He is doing everything with effort. He is carrying the play. And you know what? His line has looked good. And I think a lot of that comes back to him. And the number one, it's hard to go against Nino.
For sure.
He's just El Nino is he's doing some work, and his line looks good. The chemistry with him and Johansson is electric. I really, really liked it when they had Tolvanen up with them because that line just looked dangerous all the time because everybody knows Johansson doesn't like to shoot that much. But whereas before it was always insert person here on the other side of Tolvanen, and it was pretty much Luke Cunnin all year, he wasn't much of a threat to score.
And that's probably what we're going to see on Thursday against Dallas. I would expect it to be a Nino, Johansson, Tolvanen line. Second line.
That's good for Tolvanen too. I mean, that's really good for him. He's with two excellent players, and that's going to probably help elevate his game to where it needs to be. So exciting.
Right. So you guys got to promise not to laugh at me when I give you my clutch performers of the week. And Rich is already laughing, so I already know that it's over.
I already know the one, so
I haven't even shared it yet, and he's already given me.
It's not funny. I'm not laughing.
You're already laughing. What are you talking about?
I'm not.
All right. Let me share it here on the screen. I'm sure plenty of people are gonna laugh at me. It's all good.
Oh,
totally fine.
Real quick. Oh, never mind. Go ahead.
All right, the world can see it. Clutch performers does not have to be a player who physically skated on the ice. Third clutch performer of the week for me. It's a first in Catfish on Ice history in our clutch performers. I'm putting the head coach, John Hines, up there. The reason being is he got his team ready to go over this crazy offseason. He had to work with some new players, a lot of younger players. He's juggling a lot of different things. And I think
training camp.
He is, perfect example there. Short training camp. I don't think people realize the challenge that he was up against to get his team ready in a shortened training camp, to go over there with new players on the team, gelling with everything he's got. And watching the Behind the Glass series, I mean, you get to see how much of a player's coach John Hines truly is. And even though both games were a little bit closer than I would have liked, and they were hanging in the balance a couple times against the Sharks, I still think in the end, in both games, coaching rose above everything because he had his team ready to play, and they made the critical plays when they needed to come out with 4 points in this global series. So John Hines, he is my third clutch performer of the week.
Love it.
No chuckles from you guys? Okay.
No chuckles. No, you're right.
I'm seeing the DraftKings logo is laughing over there.
Yeah.
It's kind of creepy, to be quite honest.
It is a little bit.
Okay. It gives me free reign to do what I want. Nobody knows what I'm doing under this logo.
Yeah, I really don't know what you're doing over there.
Well, we can see you. We can see you at the bottom. So
but our
be careful.
Can. All right, number 2. This is all the more reason for y'all to watch live. If you're listening to the audio version right now, the following day, this is more reason to watch on YouTube the live streams because we have a lot of fun, obviously. Okay, Number 2 is Nino Niederreiter. We're all in agreement, although I did not put him number 1 like you guys did. He had 3 goals, so I probably should have put him number 1. But you know what? You guys already covered it pretty much. Nino Niederreiter, he is obviously going to make this team a very legitimate team that can actually compete with some of these top-tier teams because they finally have – 2 lines that can really come at you hard with elite veteran scoring talent, and his two-way game is just so valuable, and we saw that. So he's off to a great start in his Predators career. My number 1 clutch performer, even though he only played 1 game, is Kevin Lankinen, because here is my reasoning for why he is the number 1 clutch performer of the week. If he does not come up clutch, guys, then I don't think the Predators win that game. And I know Saros, you could make an argument for Saros to be in here then because he played well in the first game. Kevin Lankinen was under a lot of fire in that second game, especially late in that game when they pulled their goaltender and they were 6-on-5. And he was sprawling all over the place. He was smothering pucks, laying flat on his back. I was just waiting. I was just waiting for the Sharks to get one and to send it to overtime and then just be happy that we got a point. I just didn't see it end well. And the way he willed his way to get the Predators 4 out of 4 points was enough for me as the new backup goaltender in town to help get his team the 4 points, get those second 2 points. He's my number one clutch performer of the week.
You're right. That's good because if you look at the shots, San Jose almost doubled up Nashville on shots, and he was getting hammered quite often. So,
he played a heck of a game.
It's a little bit of a hot take, but you know what? I can't disagree with you guys' picks either that I didn't include on my list. Ryan McDonough there were a lot to choose from this week, and that's a good problem. That's a good problem to have. But those are our clutch performers of the week. We will do it every week, looking back at the past week's games. So stay tuned for that. It'll be a lot of fun. Tell us your clutch performers of the week. Give us your 1, 2, 3. Love to hear from you. Tell us what you're thinking. Always fun. All right.
Yes.
Got one more thing to get into before we close out episode 150 of Catfish on Ice, brought to you by DraftKings. It's our NHL Quick Hitter segment. Let's go ahead and first talk about Connor Ingram. How happy are we, guys, for him that he gets himself what I think is a good landing spot for him. All jokes aside, because we know the Coyotes are going to be a mess, but he's going to an organization where he's going to have a chance to be the guy between the pipes.
I think he's better than Vejmelka, to be honest. And, I hate to see him go. I love Ingram for a lot more reasons than hockey, and I wish him the most success possible anywhere he goes. And I'm going to be pulling for him in Arizona, and I think he'll end up with that starting job.
Yep, I agree. I think as soon as they drafted Yaroslav Askarov, the writing was on the wall. He was probably never going to get the kind of starts that he deserved in Nashville. And now he's going to go to a spot where he's needed. And I think it's probably the best thing that ever happened to him. I mean, I know Arizona's not great, but they need him.
Better be good to him or we'll shave their mullets off.
For sure.
Yeah, I want to see how many starts he gets there, and he's probably going to have some rough games because that team's just not very good, obviously. And I want to see what kind of growth he can go through there. But if he rises to the occasion, and let's say he somehow ends up stealing a bunch of wins for them, or let's say they end up being a little bit better than people thought because he goes out there and has some starts or he steals games as a goaltender, well, then that's going to set his future up very well. And then even if he does have a rough year with Arizona, no one's going to fault him for that either. So I think it's a good spot for him to land in, and hopefully we'll have to wait and see if he can be in the long-term plans for the Arizona Coyotes, who are in such a deep rebuild that they can't even see the sun at this point. They're so deep.
Yeah. But,
I
mean, even if he splits with the other goaltender, that's way more than he was ever going to get in Nashville.
Oh, absolutely.
So I think it's a great landing spot for him, and I'm happy for him. And I will be cheering for him every start he makes.
Me too.
So it's going to be super strange when he starts against Nashville, but we'll wait and see how that works out. All right. What's going on here in the NHL doubleheaders tonight? We know that the New York Rangers got some revenge.
Yes.
And they beat the Tampa Bay Lightning 3-1 in what I thought was a game where, I'm sorry, but the Tampa Bay Lightning did not look very good. They looked vastly inferior to the New York Rangers in this game.
It seems that pendulum has swung.
Vasilevsky was the only reason that the Rangers didn't put 5 or 6 goals on the board tonight because they were all over the net. They were peppering Vasilevsky for so many tough saves. They finished with 39 shots on goal. Tampa Bay, I mean, they just didn't look very good. Their one goal they scored was on a 5-on-3. I saw a lot of very shaking structure entering the zone. And you're talking about a Tampa team where normally that's never an issue. Normally they're a well-oiled machine. And even like Kucherov didn't look very comfortable out there. Hedman had that questionable hit on the guy that Rich referenced earlier. And it was not a very encouraging first game of the season for the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Yeah, they definitely didn't look like normal for sure. It is only the first game, but I mean,
and the Rangers are a lot of people's Stanley Cup picks this year. So
I think the Rangers were gunning for them though. I mean, they were they were all over the place and good. I think it was a good game. It was kind of one of those. It turned out to be who's going to flinch first, but then like the Rangers were just too much for them. So it was a good game, though.
We saw a battle between what many people consider the two best goaltenders in the world, Shesterkin versus Vasilevsky. Shesterkin didn't get tested nearly as much, but I still thought he made some really good saves when he had to. Vasilevsky looked the part.
He always does. I mean, he's just –
yes, he gave up 3 goals tonight, but, I mean –
robots always do.
He was under duress the entire night. I mean,
you got to watch those robots.
Pretty much any goaltender would have given up 3 or more goals in that game.
He's got those big pads too. He's so big. His pads
we're getting close to midway through regulation in our second game of the doubleheader. Golden Knights versus the Kings, and we're tied 1-1 in that game. The Golden Knights are one of those weird teams. They finally missed the playoffs and got a little taste of defeat for the first time in their franchise history last year. Had a kind of an odd, weird offseason. So they got Jack Eichel in the mix again this year. So we'll have to wait and see what they can do. They don't have Robin Lehner anymore. They're going with the young goaltender Logan Thompson, who I think's got a bright future. He's a decent young goaltender.
Yeah.
But I don't know about the Golden Knights. I don't know.
Seems to be holding his own right now.
So I would liken this game to somebody crashing a bass boat into a strip club with all with all the glitter and shiny chromeness going on in this game. That's the most.
You're a crazy man.
There is way too much glitter. If there's anything that rednecks love, it is glitter. If you've ever seen a bass boat, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Kyle, it's LA versus Las Vegas. What did you expect? Of course, you're going to see a bunch of glitter.
It's glitter and chrome. It's exactly he nailed it. He said exactly what it is. He's not wrong.
We're gonna just start calling them the Las Vegas stripper glitters, and it's.
I love your breaking analysis of this game.
And you know what?
You're not going to get it anywhere else, folks.
Those are their home jerseys too.
Yeah, they're going to wear them all year long.
They're going to wear those all year. So
the gunmetal jerseys they had were so nice.
They were.
I love those sweaters.
Yep.
This is so bad. It's like the mustard cat. Just
I don't want to hear that. And then to top everything off, Los Angeles is wearing the chrome helmets.
Yeah,
they look like robots too.
We already talked about what's going wrong with the NFL. We kind of did that at the beginning of the episode. But one more thing I want to bring up, guys, that I forgot to mention. Did you guys see where they polled a bunch of NHL players on who they think is going to win the Stanley Cup this year?
No.
They couldn't pick their own team, obviously.
Right.
It came from NHL.com. I came across it. Shocker of the century. They picked the Colorado Avalanche. But not everyone did. They polled 50 players by NHL.com. And some of them actually revealed who they picked. And so I'm going to share some of these players. Connor McDavid. Let's see.
He's like, I'm going to win it.
Connor McDavid took the Avalanche, of course. Cal McCarr picked the Lightning. I mean, come on now.
What?
No one picked the Predators, by the way.
No
big surprise there. So yeah, everyone picks the Avalanche. I guess we have to agree with that, right? I guess the whole world's picking the Avalanche except for me. I'm picking the
sounds like
Hurricanes.
it.
Wait a minute. We all picked the Avalanche to lose, right? In our predictions?
I did.
I think we did. Yeah, I think who picked the Rangers? Kyle picked the Rangers.
I picked
Yeah.
the Rangers. I picked the Maple Leafs.
You picked the Maple Leafs. I picked the Hurricanes. So we're all picking the Avalanche to lose in the Cup.
I think they've lost a lot more than they've picked up.
So 5 of these 50 players picked the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Flames and the Hurricanes each received 3 votes. The Panthers and the Rangers each received 2 votes. 2 players declined to give an answer. Okay. And then 1 chose the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Well, there you go.
I just found it kind of a very interesting article.
I just saw a glimpse of Victor Arvidsson playing.
I miss that dude. Miss that dude so much.
And then they showed Phil Kessel playing in his 983rd game. So
good for him.
Yep.
Also, John Buccigross of ESPN, one of my favorite NHL all-time guys, put out his Western Conference playoff predictions. He did pick the Predators to make the playoffs. Guess who he didn't pick? He left out the St. Louis Blues, and so he's my new favorite.
I saw that. I saw you tweet that out. Yeah.
That's like the Step Brothers meme where it's like, did we just become best friends?
There you go.
I think Bucci had Nashville either second or third in his predictions too, right in behind.
I think you're
saying Minnesota.
There are some people on there out there who are starting to jump on the Nashville bandwagon a little bit. Which I mean, they're starting to recognize these offseason moves we made. I just hope that we take care of business and we don't blow it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. After the season they had last year, and then you get Ryan McDonough and Niederreiter. I mean, somebody needs to pay attention for sure.
Yep. So It's been a fun episode, everybody. We appreciate you joining us. It has been 150 episodes. It's been a lot of fun. I love you guys. I love all of our listeners. This has just always been a blast. And hopefully here's to 150 more. We'll see what happens. But we are in for a really fun season of Nashville Predators hockey. So hit subscribe down below on our YouTube channel and follow us on Twitter at Catfish Ice. Tweet us personally if you'd like to talk Predators at KPerk86, at Rich_Howe_9, and at Chad_Minton. We love to talk hockey with all of y'all. We appreciate it a lot. Take care, everybody. Have a great week. We'll see you later on this week for a brand new episode. Take care.
Have a good one.